Come to DSW for the shoes, stay for the fun. Because, let's be honest, if shoe shopping isn't fun, are you even doing it right? So go ahead, try something new. Try something different. Good different. Try something that feels like you. You know, the real you. And then definitely brag about it later. Because at DSW, you've got unlimited freedom to play. Find the shoes that get you at prices that get your budget at DSW stores or at DSW.com. Let us surprise you.
Welcome into a holiday week edition of the Show Before the Show podcast, the official podcast of minor league baseball. We just talked like 3 days ago. What are we going to talk about today? Tyler Vaughn, Sam Dykstra, Benjamin Hill. I'm not used to seeing you dudes in such short order. What's going on?
I know. Yeah. Normally we need a week to decompress from this podcast and just like regather our feelings towards each other. But no, it's a short week across the United States of America. Everybody's going to be traveling. We wanted to give everybody something to listen to on their travels.
Yeah. If we were an NFL team, we'd be playing on a Thursday night after a Sunday game.
Yeah.
It's a short week of rest. It's a little more difficult to put together on a short timeline, but then the good part of it is then you have a longer break period, though I guess we don't because we'll just be on a normal schedule for next week. And never mind.
Or to keep it more baseball focused, as we do on this show, this is like the day game after a night game.
Oh, yeah.
Of podcasts.
Yeah.
Tyler, you're our typical catcher. You're not going to be catching today.
I'm not going out there today. No. I got to rest. I got heavy legs. I got to rest up.
We might have to bring in Josh Jackson for a segment here just to keep everything light on our feet. But yeah, it's a little different, but that's okay. It's a good week to do things a little different.
It is, and we got a lot of fun stuff to talk about on this Thanksgiving week episode of the Show Before the Show podcast. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for hanging out with us. We're recording on a Monday. We never record on a Monday, but you can get in touch with us as you can any other day of the week or any other time of the year. Podcast at MILB.com. We got a whole bunch of fun stuff, including we will finally come around to wrapping up a segment that we started, I don't know, like over a year ago, I think, about a fictional minor league baseball team. We will finally put the finishing touches on it here in 2025. Very excited for that. But that will come up a little while later on as we roll into this week's episode of the Show Before the Show podcast. And we're going to kick things off with a conversation about what else is brewing this week in minor league baseball with our pal Benjamin Hill. It is presented by Circle K, the official convenience store of minor league baseball. And Ben, we are fully and firmly entrenched into rebrand / alt identity / refresh / all of it season. And you have a story that is going to be, feels like rolling updated on a week by week basis on who has a new alternate identity coming up in 2026. We've already got a lot of them, but give us some of the breakdown of what is already out there and what is to come.
Well, yes, this is a story, unlike, I think, many stories I've done in the past. Nothing super radical or super groundbreaking. That'll be a collaborative effort with some of my fine colleagues. But we have a story up on the site on MILB.com that will be updated throughout the offseason, into the season, with every single new alternate identity that will debut in 2026. So we collected enough to get that article up and running. And of course, there'll be dozens of updates to it in the coming months as we go through December, January, February, March, and April. So I think we've talked about all the ones that are in the article right now. So we don't have to get caught too deep on any of them. But we got the Winston-Salem Dash being the Carolina Reapers, a Grim Reaper type identity inspired by the hot pepper of the same name, the Reaper pepper, the Carolina Reaper. We've got, we talked about this last week, the Louisville Humidity, a sweating baseball paying a tongue-in-cheek homage to Louisville weather in the summertime. We've got the Pensacola Sky Jockeys, because Pensacola is known as the cradle of naval aviation, and there's Blue Angels flyovers at the ballpark quite a bit. Not scheduled ones. You're just at the game, and those Blue Angels just fly right on over. This was our interview segment last week with the Somerset Patriots. We've got the Somerset Semi-Quincentennials. And that, of course, is the fancy 17 character word for 250th anniversary. And then we've got 3 from the Worcester Red Sox, The Art of the Woo, a tribute to the city's art scene. We've got the Kelly Squares, a tribute to a notorious intersection. And kind of sort of new, not really, we got the Pawtucket Hot Wieners. The first time Worcester will be doing that, but that's a throwback alternate identity from when they used to be in Pawtucket. And then finally, the Beloit Erie Wearies, named after Weary Road in the Beloit area, a very spooky road. So typical mix there. And we're going to have dozens more to talk about in the coming weeks and months. But bookmark that story. Go to MILB.com, find the alternate identity roundup, bookmark it, stay up to date throughout the off season on every single new alternate identity coming your way in the year of our Lord, 2026.
All right, Ben, as the offseason gets a little bit deeper and deeper, we do have on-field news that we touched on last week, but now we get to bring back Major League Baseball and Minor League Baseball are headed back to the Field of Dreams in 2026, which is very, very cool. It'll be a couple of AAA teams that will square off at the Field of Dreams in Dyersville, Iowa in 26. Everybody obviously has loved the big league action, but it's so cool that Minor League Baseball has been part of this. It just feels like such a Minor League Baseball type of thing, an event to be connected to, one of the real cradles of minor league baseball in the American Midwest and Iowa. But the MILB angle to the Field of Dreams in 26.
Well, this isn't technically we talked about the minor league angle last week, and that the St. Paul Saints and Iowa Cubs will be playing on August 11th, followed 2 days later by a game between the Twins and the Cubs. But there's an addendum to this story now.
Twins and Phillies.
Twins and Phillies, yes. Sorry. Thank you, Sam. There is an addendum to this story, and I somehow have just lost the link I brought up. But the Northwoods League, a summer collegiate league, is going to host their All-Star game at the Field of Dreams site. So now you have the Major League game, the AAA minor league game, and separately, it's not the same part of the same event, but separately you have the Field of Dreams hosting a summer collegiate all-star game. And that's going to be on Tuesday, July 7th. So over a month before you get the minor and major components of the Field of Dreams games. July 7th, there will be the Northwoods League Home Run Challenge on July 7th. And July 8th, the all-star game. We put it all together. So now you've got a double shot of summer collegiate baseball at the Field of Dreams site. I can't speak to what the tickets are going to be for this, but I imagine if you're thinking about if you'd like to see something at that ballpark on the Field of Dreams site, that summer collegiate all-star game and home run challenge will probably be quite a bit easier or cheaper to snag tickets to. So wanted to just let people know that in July, a month prior to the Major League game, get some summer collegiate action on July 7th and July 8th.
I'm maybe most excited. I'm excited for the players who get to play on that field and their families who get to see that. And you can only imagine the amounts of fathers and sons who will be playing catch, Northwoods League families. But I think the Home Run Challenge is like super exciting for that game, or for that event too. Like you said, it's a 2-day event. That will be on July 7th. Because think about the unique places we've seen home run derbies happen across the minor leagues, the major leagues, just baseball in general. We've seen, like in the Bahamas, they have the home run derby there every year. I think that's organized by Jazz Chisholm and a bunch of other local legends homering on the beach. And there was a home run derby on an aircraft carrier before. We've seen that.
Yeah, multiple times.
Multiple times, yeah. And all the other really cool, just locations across minor league baseball, but to do it in the middle of the corn and just think like how many rows deep of corn can I hit it? I think is going to be super fun, not just for the players and their families, but fans alike. And I would love to know if they're going to allow fans to stand amongst the corn and try to catch it. Like they say a can of corn is easy to catch. I imagine a homer of corn much more difficult.
Spin us a yarn there, Buck. That's like a triple play baseball 1999 reference for anybody.
Oh man, that was
can of corn. Anyway.
Well, speaking of like unique home run derby locales. You could homer in somebody's living room.
You could play on the moon.
You could play on the moon too.
Awesome. That game was so
But enough
good.
about Coors Field. Am I right, Tyler? Sorry. Yeah, it was just wide open. But anyways, no, that'll be very fun for the Northwoods League. And this is another signal that, as we were talking about last week, as those facilities continue to get updated and there's more being done and all of that is wrapped up now, hopefully that opens the door to a lot more events in Dyersville moving forward. Not just the Field of Dreams MLB game, not just Field of Dreams minor league game, but maybe more minor league games down the line. Maybe Cedar Rapids gets back in on the action, or some of the other Iowa teams. So keep it posted and keep looking out for what more else could be down the line in Dyersville.
Yes, that's taking place in July, but it's going to be one of May's premier events.
No. Yeah. How long were you sitting on that one for? 2 minutes?
Yeah, you were talking for quite a long time.
I was. Yeah.
Let's wind it. Let's wrap it.
I've got a joke that I need to get out to the people.
I got to bed around 2:30. All right, Ben. It's Thanksgiving week, my favorite holiday. I don't know about you guys where Thanksgiving sits in the holiday power rankings, but number one for me by far. Love it. We don't have a whole lot of Thanksgiving primary connected identities in baseball, or alt identities. I mean, we have they're not an affiliated team, but the Carolina Disco Turkeys. That's like the only turkey connected thing I can think of. We do have the Salt Potatoes.
The Thunder Chickens.
Oh, the Thunder Hartford. Chickens. Yeah, that's right.
Sam,
right.
A New Englander, grew up calling turkeys Thunder Chickens.
He did. So all the time.
Sam, all my family was like, finally, we're recognized for what we call the humble turkey.
As a young boy, I was like, I can't wait for Thanksgiving to eat me some Thunder Chickens. And we were like, man, you're weird. The Salt Potatoes. We do have the Salt Potatoes, Rochester.
Well, Salt Potatoes is Syracuse.
Syracuse. Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
I mean, if you want to have a garbage plate,
Rochester, right? Exactly. You can throw a bunch of stuff. I mean, my Thanksgiving plate sort of ends up looking like a garbage plate anyway. But this is not about alt identities that would be good to add to your Thanksgiving spread. This is about food items at ballparks across minor league baseball that could fit well in your Thanksgiving spread. Ben, I'm very excited to hear about these.
Well, I just did a cursory run through the minor league baseball landscape, jotted some things down. This could go a million different ways. You guys can add some stuff, but I was thinking if you had access to every minor league baseball concession stand and had to bring a dish to Thanksgiving, like what concession stand would you visit? I mean, Tyler, you mentioned Syracuse and their Salt Potatoes. That was one that came to mind pretty quickly. Syracuse also has pierogi on the concourse, and I feel like that could work as well. Jason Smorrell, the GM of the Syracuse Mets, taught me this, and he was so adamant that I will now never forget that pierogi does not have a plural. So
pierogi is plural.
Pierogi is.
Does that mean that the singular is like a piroga? Piroga?
A pirogue? Yeah,
pirogue?
I don't know. But yeah, don't say I'm going to eat a bunch of pierogies tonight. Just say I'm going to eat a bunch of pierogi tonight. It's or just one pierogi. I don't know how.
Next week for more on the Polish language.
Yeah. And then Tyler, like you mentioned, Syracuse and Rochester, similar regions there in central New York. And Rochester, you could just, if you're really going all out for Thanksgiving, you could do the garbage plate. That would have a salt potatoes in it, also mac and cheese, meat sauce, some chopped up hot dogs. Maybe a little much for Thanksgiving with everything else is going, but it would be something you can customize, which would be good. I was in Salt Lake City this year with the Bees. They had a brisket mac and cheese, a little heavy again, but I think that would go over very, very well. It was very well done. This is a super obvious choice. Montgomery, bring some biscuits. I mean, goes without saying. I was trying to think of places that have turkey, and Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs have always had those big turkey legs at the ballpark from a little...
it's like a Renaissance fair.
Yeah, and it's out of a separate shack, kind of a old little barn-like shack. It's a local company, Jaindl, Jaindl, but you get the big turkey legs from... so if you wanted to go that route with the turkey, just munch on a big turkey leg, grab and go. A sort of quasi dessert with Lehigh Valley too could be the candied bacon. on a stick.
I was going to say the bacon on a stick was very enjoyable when I had that last year.
Yeah, so I think that would work. My mind went to Memphis. Again, maybe a little too much for Thanksgiving, but the Charlie Rendezvous barbecue nachos are famous for a reason and so good. And another thing in Memphis, and I just learned this about kind of the larger food culture in the area, is you can get this at AutoZone Park, the home of the Redbirds, but just a sausage and cheese plate. And apparently there's a lot of restaurants in the Memphis area around that region in the South that sausage and cheese is just sort of like the same way some restaurants, you just get bread before your meal. There's a sausage and cheese plate.
Really?
And I think that obviously works really well. And it has some pickles and pepperoni peppers.
Are we talking like breakfast sausage, or are we talking
like sliced up, like toothpick, sliced up cuts of sausage?
Oh, so like cocktail wieners.
Yeah, but not
more like a summer sausage.
Like a summer sausage.
Okay,
yeah.
all right.
Yes, much more like a summer sausage. Like, so they're cut up like an array of a cut up little sausage meat, served cold with the cheese. And being gluten free, as much as I talk about all this type of food, I was like, the sausage and cheese plate, man, that's a good ballpark dish, especially for gluten free. It's filling, it's gluten free. You got the toothpicks, you can kind of do it, grab and go. I'm a big fan of that. And then I thought of two desserts. Asheville tourists, they always sell the moon pies. I think that would go over pretty well. And San Jose, which is home to Turkey Mike's Barbecue, so that fits in with the theme, named after a former player named Turkey Mike Donlin. But San Jose, churros from Paul Super Churros Man Cerda. He is a franchise icon, and churros are a big part of the San Jose Giants experience. So that's a by no means comprehensive, but a little bit of a list of things you could bring to the Thanksgiving table procured at a minor league ballpark in a totally theoretical situation.
I mean, I'll just throw out the Sea Dog biscuit in there too.
Yeah,
because you mentioned moon pies, which made me thinking whoopie pies, which we could bring in both Reading and Portland for. But then the Sea Dog biscuit, I think, just reigns supreme for ice cream sandwiches you can get out of ballpark.
You guys aren't big about bringing calf fries? It's not. You're not going to bring any bull testicles to your Thanksgiving.
That can be your contribution if you want it, Tyler. That lane is wide open for you.
My wife and I do drive through Amarillo on the way to Christmas every year. Might have to see about picking up some.
Pick up a sack of calf fries to bring to the in-laws. Yeah,
it's a very normal thing to
with
do
a
around the
greasy
holidays.
bag of calf fries. Yeah.
Well, if you two have your thoughts on what you would like to add to the Thanksgiving meal of your choice through minor league baseball, please get in touch with this podcast at milb.com. And this week's conversation with Ben Hill, of course, our Ben's Biz Banter presented by Circle K, the official convenience store of minor league baseball. And coming up, we are, for those eagle-eared listeners of you, I don't know if eagles have really good hearing. We are going to return to a topic that we brought up first on this podcast, I think like over a year ago. But we're finally gonna round third and bring it on home as we continue along next on this week's episode of the Show Before the Show.
All right, listen up, nacho chips. Quiet down, crispy potatoes. This is the moment Velveeta's been preparing you for, and you're not about to crack under pressure. Today's the day to go all in on the drip. Velveeta's Heat and Eat Queso is the MVP of any game day spread, so stick by them, and you'll be golden. Now get out there and make delicious history. No tailgate party is complete without Velveeta.
Continuing along on this week's episode of the Show Before the Show, we're actually continuing along from a conversation that we started like 18 months ago. All the way back in June of 2024, we unveiled our second Design a Team contest identity contest on the Show Before the Show, where we wanted somebody to come up with a fictional minor league baseball team, a city that does not currently have a minor league baseball team in the United States or Canada or Mexico or wherever you want to go. and an identity for that team. And we selected a winner. We got a ton of cool submissions, and then we just didn't do anything with it forever. But we heard back then from a fellow named Jack McGuinn on social media who suggested a team called the Huntington Hellbenders in West Virginia. And Jack's reasoning was, quote, name based on the species of giant salamanders known as hellbenders that occupy the rivers of the eastern U.S., including my city of choice, Huntington, West Virginia. Hope this gets chosen. Well, Jack, not only did it get chosen, but a year and a half later, we finally have a design for you. We have worked with Vince Pettifrezzo, who is one of the geniuses behind graphic design with MLB and with MILB. We submitted our concepts. We had discussed this and put together our thoughts. We had sort of storyboarded and come up with an identity concept for the Huntington Hellbenders. And Vince put it together back toward the end of the season. But we wanted to make sure that we were going to give this the recognition and the episode that it deserved. So here we are. Sam, Ben, how excited are you for this moment?
Yeah, no, very excited. I mean, this was something, like you said, we just kept pushing back and back and back and back just because there's tons to talk about in real minor league baseball that we didn't want to dive into this fantasy realm in which the Huntington Hellbenders joined the Austin Knights among teams we have created. And it was always fun to see the Austin Knights, like people will create that team in MLB The Show. And
that was very cool.
Online modes and such. So we wanted to make sure that the Huntington Hellbenders got their own spotlight, and it wasn't something we just mentioned, in the talk of a longer episode. So what better time? We are in the off season now. We are in this weird early release week to talk about the Huntington Hellbenders. We have this logo. We talked about it initially after choosing it last year when we designed it. We sent that to Vince to put it out there, but we'll share this logo set, hat set that he sent to us. We'll share that on social media so you can find it either on my Blue Sky, any of our 3 Blue Skies. I'll post it on Twitter as well. Ben, maybe you'll share it there too. But
absolutely,
yeah. So there's multiple ways you can see this, but just to describe it, it's an H with the salamander, or the hellbender in this case, grasping around the H. The hellbender is sitting behind it. It's a brown and green salamander, if you can imagine that. And the H is red, but on the lighter side of red, I would say. How would you describe that type of red?
I'd almost call it a deep pink.
It is kind of a deep pink. It's not the pure red that we see normally. Yeah. And I kind of appreciate that because it's a little bit something different, right? Like there's just so many either red or blue teams out there. This is a little different shade. And then we have 2 variations of the hat, one which is more black, a little bit reminiscent of the Carolina Mudcats hat, which has now gone away from minor league baseball as that team moves to Wilson, and a greener hat, which echoes the green on the salamander. Both have a red brim or that deep pink brim. But yeah, check it out on our socials. Let us know what you think. What were your guys, because you guys work in this space much more than I do. Ben, on a professional level, Tyler, you've always been interested in design. How did this guy strike you guys first?
Well, I'd say one thing is that between June 2024, when we went through this, which again was a follow-up to having done the Austin Knights the year before, and got a great response on that. It was like the city of Austin with the bats that emerged from underneath the bridge, and people really liked that one.
Yeah, I don't know if we've even pointed out to people that it's Knights, N-I-G-H-T, as if you joined us long after we created the Austin Knights. It was originally suggested to us as Knights with a K, and then we kind of moved around with it and played with it and came up with that very cool concept that Vince knocked out of the park.
Precisely. And then, we came up with Huntington Hellbenders, courtesy of Jack. Thanks for his suggestion. But since we got that suggestion, since we actually picked this well over a year ago, there was a minor league team that did a Hellbenders alternate identity. And, we thought Hellbenders was such a cool name, but the Asheville Tourists did a Hellbenders related identity, but they did not call themselves the Hellbenders. Even though Hellbender is such a cool name, they went juvenile. They went a little gross. They went with the Snot Otters, which is a nickname for the Hellbender. And Snot Otters / Hellbenders, are in the waters and the rivers under the rocks of Western North Carolina, where the Asheville tourists are. And they can also be found, obviously, in the Huntington, West Virginia area. I think they are, like a lot of species these days, struggling a little bit to keep up their numbers. I know there's a lot of conservation aspects tied in with this. If we were a real team, we would be eco warriors for this cause.
Absolutely.
And I don't know if it's possible, but it'd be great to get some actual hellbenders out to the ballpark. I don't mean have them live at the ballpark, but have some certified professionals bring them out, because I think that helps people be like, this is what this is. This is what it looks like. It's an amazing creature. It's got a cool name. It lives, or at least hangs out inside the H on the cap. And let's go with this. Let's support it together, the Hellbenders.
I love it. I think it came out great. My favorite thing about the logo itself is the little hands that the Hellbenders got. I don't know what you would call those on an actual salamander. Claws, grippies, paws. You know, I don't know. But I think those are great. I love the color palette. I think the color palette was very cool. And we sort of discussed that on the episode about, you know, how we wanted to incorporate some of the natural elements of where we imagine this Hellbender existing, especially, you know, as it gets to the fall and the foliage pops out and you're playing postseason baseball and all that type of stuff. That was very cool. We also had discussed an alternate identity or an alternate logo that maybe at some point we'll have Vince come up with for us, but where the Hellbender is throwing a pitch, which of course we would call the pitch the Hellbender, I would assume, much like the Airbender, but not. And he was going to have a little hat on that just had the H on it. So we have like multiple different concepts with this, but I think it came out great. I love it. The idea was perfect. The name is perfect. The fact that it's connected to something, you know, that is real and is, I believe, not critically endangered, but is on like the next level down. Yeah. So somewhat similar, you know, how Spokane does the Red Band rally where they are pitching in on conservation efforts for a local species of trout. Those types of things, I feel like the Hellbender could be in that vein. But it came out very, very well. I think from the name and the concept and all of that, Vince crushed the execution of it.
Yeah, I think the next step for us is, and this is part of Vince's graphic as well, is he put it kind of in a creek. He put the background as a creek.
Yeah.
We need to find a creek in Huntington, West Virginia, which can be beyond our outfield fence. Negotiations will be ongoing on finding the right site for our ballpark for the Huntington Hellbenders. But now that we have a logo set locked down, I think that's our next move.
Or I would borrow architecturally one of the best architectural elements I saw at the new ballpark this year in Knoxville, the new home of the Knoxville Smokies, Covenant Health Park, has a creek running between the outfield fence and then the concourse itself. So if you're on the concourse, you look down.
That is very cool.
See a creek. And then the barrier of the creek is the outfield fence. And that's a creek that runs, you know, well beyond the ballpark. But I think that's what we have to do here is have the creek on the inside of the ballpark, but of course, totally undisturbed, totally protected. But maybe you could just look right down in the waters and see a Hellbender. See the Hellbenders up on the rocks trying to catch the game.
I like that idea.
I guess you can't feed the Hellbenders, but, you know.
You know, the Marlins used to have the aquarium behind home plate. They still have that?
Oh, that's true. Well, yeah, and there's also the Rays tank, which
the Rays tank out in center field.
Yeah, the Rays move back to St. Pete next year. There's all sorts of precedent here for aquatic life.
I believe the San Francisco Seals back in the old school Pacific Coast League had a seal. I'm pretty sure they had an actual seal. Probably wasn't a good idea, but it was a different time.
Well, of course, you can on social media find our concept and the fantastic graphic work that Vince did for us. You can find us on Blue Sky and on Instagram. Sam will post it on Twitter as well, and we are eager to get your reaction. And I personally, I love this little series that we've started. Obviously, we've only done 2 teams, but I think we're going to continue to do it because it's so much fun. Man. An amazing suggestion, and our deepest apologies to Jack. This took us a year and a half to get done. But hopefully, Jack, you're still tuned in to the Show Before the Show podcast, and you enjoy this Huntington Hellbenders identity that we were finally able to bring to life like almost 18 months later. I think it'd be.
This is how we win our listeners each week. We just take one of their suggestions. We wait 18 months.
We draw it
You have
out.
to listen each week. You don't know when it's going to come out.
And Jack, if you're still with us, God bless you for hanging on for the last 18 months, waiting in the desert for the Huntington Hellbenders to finally come through. But someday we're going to get to a point where we just have like enough alt identities that we can just launch like the show before the show league, and we can have some phony merchandise for all these teams that don't exist. I think that sounds very cool.
Yeah. And if folks want to get in their early suggestions now, we'll start pooling them. And maybe we'll mention it every week on the show for the rest of the calendar year. And maybe sometime in January we can revisit this and come up with some other team names. But we're off to a strong start. We're 2 for 2 so far.
Austin Knights, Huntington Hellbenders. And with that, we will step aside. We're back for another edition of Name That Dude and wrapping up this week's episode of the show before the show after this. The final Thanksgiving week segment of this week's episode of the show before the show. Thanks for hanging out with us, and feel free to get in touch. Let us know what your Thanksgiving plans are for this week. If you are tuned into this week's episode, hoofing around somewhere, driving someplace, on a flight, doing whatever, we would be very excited to hear from you, and we wish you all the best for Thanksgiving this year. But before we get out of here, it is time, of course, for the latest and greatest edition of Name That Dude, in which one of us names a dude from baseball years past, and the others try to guess who that dude is or was. Sam and I both guessed that Ben said he had a dude, and Sam and I both guessed that it was Turkey Stearns, the Hall of Famer, the former Negro Leagues legend. And Ben was very quick to tell us that it is not. Unfortunately, it's not Turkey Stearns this week. But Ben, the floor is yours.
I did pick a dude, based on the time of year, so maybe you guys will get this right away. Maybe not. But this dude was born in way back in the early days of Ronald Reagan's first term. July 19th, 1981. He was born in Bristol, Tennessee. Appalachian League hotspot, Bristol, Tennessee. Went to school on the other side of the state line. Bristol's Appy League team in recent years has been called the State Liners. So this dude was born in Bristol, Tennessee, and then was a standout at John S. Battle High School in Bristol, Virginia. He signed a scholarship with the University of Kentucky, but then was selected by the Royals with the 43rd pick in the 1999 draft. He then started his professional odyssey while I closed the page instead of opening it, and now have to type him in again, but I will move so quickly and speak so eloquently while I do so, you will not have noticed. He started his professional odyssey, did this dude, with the Gulf Coast League Royals in 1999 at the age of 17. Then the Charleston, West Virginia Alley Cats in the South Atlantic League in a fairly brief time where Charleston, West Virginia's team was known pre-Power, the Alley Cats in 2000. Moving on up in 2001, he's with the Wilmington Blue Rocks, High A in the Carolina League. Then the previous era of Wichita baseball, the 2002 and 2003, the Wichita Wranglers in the Texas League. That team left, became the Northwest Arkansas Naturals, and now Wichita has a team in the form of the Wind Surge. But this is the Wranglers this dude played for in 2002, 2003. He makes his Major League debut Royals in 2003. 2004 with Omaha a little bit, but mostly in the majors with the Royals. 2005 and AAA Omaha a little bit, but mostly with the Royals. 2006 with the Royals, 2007 with the Royals, 2008 Omaha and the Royals, then finally leaves the Royals organization for 2 seasons, or for 1 season with the Chicago White Sox, where he pitches for AAA Charlotte Knights, as well as with the White Sox themselves. Ends his career in 2010 pitching for the Colorado Springs Sky Sox in the Rockies organization. Never played a game for the Rockies. So this is a guy whose professional career spanned 1990 to 2010. He was
1990.
1999
99.
2010. He was a major leaguer, largely a major leaguer between 2003 and 2009.
And he was a pitcher.
He was a pitcher. He was a starter in the beginning of his career, was working out of the bullpen more often than not in the latter half of his career.
Almost
Not
all
a
of his big league
household-
career was with the Royals.
Yes, not a household name, but I do, again, refer you to the time of year. It's not Turkey Stearns.
I'm thinking more along puns because I can't say I knew the Royals bullpen all that well in the mid 2000s.
Right, but he did play 247 major league games, went 22 and 23 with a 5.29 ERA. He's now back in the Bristol area. He's a family man, according to his Twitter bio. So think of the family men, you know.
Yeah, think of all the
All of
family
the
men
Royals
I know around
family men that you
Bristol.
know.
Yeah, he coaches travel ball and youth sports in the Bristol, Tennessee / Virginia area.
That's all wonderful to hear. I'm thinking of like gravy. I'm thinking of
He has a name
mash.
associated with Thanksgiving. All right, I'll take it even further. A name associated with turkey, but his name is not Turkey.
Gobbler. Old
You are so close.
Freddie
Do you remember
Gobbler.
this player? Do you remember this player?
Is there a guy named Jimmy Gobble?
Ding, ding,
Oh,
ding,
yeah,
Ah,
Jimmy
there it is.
Gobble.
Jimmy Gobble.
Holy cow, I totally forgot about it. I said Gobbler and I still didn't remember Jimmy Gobble. Yeah.
Jimmy Gobble.
Wow.
That's
I
a good one.
totally
Yeah.
forgot about Jimmy Gobble.
435 and 2/3 innings in the major leagues.
Yeah.
Only 285 strikeouts in that span, but
Yeah.
did get 4 saves, 43 starts against 247 games, like you said. Yeah, Jimmy
What a
Gobble.
name. His baseball reference page does not have a nickname listed. The dude's last name, I mean, I guess when your last name is Gobble, people probably just call you Gobble. But
They may just gobble. They may
the
not
Gobbler,
even say the name.
yeah. Man,
No, you
yeah,
can do a
Jimmy
good
Gobble.
I've heard you make some good gobbles.
Right into the mic.
Yeah.
You can do a good gobble, can't you? There it is.
I think that's pretty good. It's pretty good. You got to hold your excess chin underneath as you do. Jimmy
Yeah,
Gobble.
that's a
How
giblet.
cool. Totally forgot. What a name though. That is a fantastic callback. That is, talk about naming a dude. That's a good one. Did not realize that Jimmy Gobble was a first round and 43rd overall pick, so he was a supplemental first rounder, but still a first round pick. Pretty cool.
Former top 100 prospect too. BA had him, I think it was number 50 before one of those seasons. Yeah, but a former top 100 prospect. Maybe the career didn't live up to that exactly, but still, like, to get that many games out of the bullpen in the major leagues is not an easy task by any means.
That is pretty amazing.
So good for you, Jimmy Gobble.
Yeah, 247 games as a pitcher. That's far more games than the average major league pitcher ever appears in.
That's amazing.
Jimmy Gobble. He gobbled for most of the aughts. He was gobbling through the major leagues.
Just, making his way through, avoiding having a nickname because his last name was so good. That is great stuff from Jimmy Gobble and from Ben Hill as well. And from all
edition. That'd be too obscure for a normal one.
Yeah, no,
that is true.
Right.
But that was perfect.
Send us down the right path.
Yeah, that was perfect for this week's episode. From all of us to all of you, we wish you the happiest Thanksgiving that we can, or whatever you do for this week. If you're with family, if you're with friends, if you're just hanging out by yourself, if you're hanging out with the Show Before the Show podcast on Thanksgiving, we wish you all the best. You can get in touch with us, of course, anytime. Podcast at milb.com. I think we do this every year, but what's your favorite part of the Thanksgiving meal, you two? Like food wise, not like the conversation.
I've probably changed this over the years, but I'm gonna just say the first thing that comes to mind now. You know what? I'm becoming more and more of a stuffing person.
Oh yeah, welcome.
I don't know why, as a kid, I was like, no, I don't like stuffing. And I'm like, you fool, you absolute dunce. I don't know. I was a picky eater who just got. This is going to surprise you, Tyler.
Dunce.
I was a stubborn person as a child.
What?
Yeah, no.
Samuel C. Dykstra? No way.
Yeah, and I just got in my head that I would not like the older I've gotten, I'm like, no, you need to put all the things inside the stuffing. The stuffing is going to act as the base layer for everything else on top of it.
Yeah.
So I'll say stuffing this round. I mean, always a shout out to canned cranberry sauce.
Yeah.
I appreciate those of you who make it by yourself, but nothing beats the ocean spray right out of the can.
Yeah, I do.
Swap that on there. Let me cut into it.
I'm good with that
I always
too.
enjoy that, but stuffing's my pick. Ben, what about you?
Yeah, I'm good stuffing too. You know, I've been gluten-free for a lot of years, but fortunately there's a lot of gluten-free stuffing options out there. Same thing, Sam. When I was a kid, I'd look at stuffing and I'd sometimes like it, but often if I looked at it, it would look wet. I'd see like little slices of celery or raw onion in it, and I'd just be like,
That's true.
And I couldn't get with it. But now, it's the base of the meal. So big stuffing guy. And gravy. I mean, I just like gravy and stuffing and turkey. You know, I went to the doctors recently for the first time in a while, and now I'm thinking about cholesterol all the time.
I know.
Not this week. This week is not the
this
time to
week.
do it.
None of that actually applies this week. People don't realize, but your body doesn't absorb any of that over the holidays. You just all floats away.
I've been rethinking all my life choices recently. Got to get those numbers down, but not this week.
Starting in December.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tyler, what about you? What's?
Yeah, I was gonna go stuffing too, but I just love all of it, man, and like
copping out.
So there is very little on Thanksgiving that I'm just like, nah. Like I love all of it. The problem is now at 40, figuring out what I need to prioritize, because at 14, I could just eat 4 plates and I could get everything. And now it's like, all right, I got to figure out what I can eat that isn't going to make me feel like death an hour from now. So I got to like manage that. Ugh, never grow old. Anyone who is tuned in, who is still young, please never grow old. But it's my favorite day, man. I love it so much. I love Thanksgiving.
And then it extends into the next day when you get the leftovers.
Just so great. I get to go watch my college football team lose annually. It's fantastic. And very excited for that this year, as always. And very excited to hear from all of you. Let us know what you're doing for the holiday. Podcast at MILB.com. And that'll do it for this week's episode of the show before the show. For Benjamin Hill, Sam Dykstra, Jimmy Gobble, Josh Jackson, all the rest, my name is Tyler Ron. Happy Thanksgiving to you all. We'll catch you next week.